Ottawa announced an additional $15 billion for provinces to build more apartments today. The top-up is part of Ottawa's plan to tackle the growing housing crisis. And just yesterday, the Prime Minister announced a $6 billion infrastructure and housing fund for provinces and municipalities, but the money comes with strings attached. One of the conditions being provinces must allow cities to build fourplexes as of right, which Ontario Premier Doug Ford has been adamant is a massive mistake.
I don't believe in forcing municipalities. I believe in working with municipalities. I've walked a mile in their shoes, and I'm going to leave that up to each municipality to decide, because they know better than the province and the federal government.
If the province doesn't want to step up with ambition on building the infrastructure needed to support more housing in general across the province, we'll do it specifically with willing partners. Ideally, we work with the province. If not, I know Olivia has already told me, hey, send the extra money to Toronto. We'll build more homes. We want to keep growing.
Olivia Chow is the Mayor of Toronto, and she joins me now. Mayor Chow, welcome back to the show.
Hi.
I was looking at this announcement today, and I saw the Mayor of Canada's largest city with the Prime Minister. I did not see the Premier or a provincial minister, and there is some disagreement on this housing policy the federal government is rolling out. Are you worried about cities getting caught in a jurisdictional battle between the federal and provincial governments here?
Not at all, because I believe every political leaders want to build housing, want to build affordable housing. So I think it's just some of the interpretation of local city zoning bylaws. At the end of the day, it's the city that delivers the service, the approval for developers to build housing. So I think we can cross all the bridges that need to be crossed.
But a big condition that Sean Fraser and the Prime Minister put on the table with the $5 billion fund yesterday was that provinces have to make fourplexes available everywhere they want to be built in Ontario, and Doug Ford has decided he doesn't want to do that as Premier. He wants to leave it to municipalities. I know you're on board with that, but how do you think this could affect things here in Ontario?
I'm not sure, but what I do know is that Premier Ford is very much supportive of local democracy and want to leave it for the city to approve these fourplexes. The city of Toronto has already done so, so it's not a barrier for us. We have actually checked all the boxes that the federal government have required, whether it's student or having housing near post-secondary education area, faster approval process, less parking requirement, all of those details. We've met all the requirements, or in a pipeline in a month or two to meet those requirements. So it's not a problem for us. And I know that Premier Ford understand that the city has been very cooperative with both the provincial and the federal government. So I don't see any conflict as far as what the city can do in accessing the funds, the Build Canada Fund, the Canada Builds Fund.
Right.
The low-cost financing plus the actual dollar. The Accelerator Fund, for example, that was approved last year for the City of Toronto, we have already received the first installment. And David, let me tell you, between the Accelerator Fund and Canada Builds Fund's low-cost financing, the city can build enough homes very quickly for 30,000 Torontonians. That's exciting. We have 198 projects ready to go, and so 98 of them are shoveling the ground. The other half are in the pipeline.
So as far as you're concerned, this is effective policy, right? Because your city and the region around your city, that's the housing market, along with the Vancouver area, that's really troubling for young people and working income people to get into. So you say you're on board with fourplexes. You've made that change. The Premier says he's worried about pushback. Did you get a lot of pushback in Toronto when you decided to do this as a mayor and as a council? Because everybody who advocates on the housing file says this is what needs to happen. What was the reaction to it in your experience for going that way?
Well, the changes are never simple or easy. However, there was consensus in the city of Toronto. There are some councils that voted for it. Majority of the councils voted for it. And there is a consensus that we need to build housing. We need to make life affordable for everyone. And I can understand why Premier Ford don't want to impose his will on other cities. And other cities may say, hey, this is for us to decide. That's really up to the premier to decide on what he prefer, how he wants to do this. But one way or another, the federal program said that if the province don't want to do make that decision, the municipalities can, and as long as the municipalities are following our guidelines, the funds will flow anyway. So, which is for us, that's just fine. Whether it's through Ontario or directly to us, either way, as long as we get the funds, we're happy. We will build, and we can't wait.
So if we look at the two programs that have rolled out the last 2 days, there's extra money for the apartment building loan program to help give low-cost financing for apartment construction. And then there's the $5 billion plus the extra $1 billion that's on the table for municipal infrastructure that can unlock housing developments. How does Toronto use that money, that infrastructure money? Like, what are the things that are missing in the city of Toronto right now that this money lets you do that will open up, unlock future housing developments?
Well, infrastructure is critically important, and every municipal leaders will tell you that. The Federation of Canadian Municipalities said that. And well, whether it's roads, sewers, bridges for some other municipalities, but local community centers, libraries, parks, just even paving the roads for some of the area, all of those are important. Public transit is critical because you can't just, in the waterfront of Toronto, for example, there's a lot of development. If we just develop it without actually building an LRT, which has been on the books, then people are landlocked and then they can't get anywhere without driving. And then congestion is so bad that we are losing $11 billion productivity. So is there enough funds to build a waterfront LRT? No, but there may be enough funds. We don't know yet. Depends on how much they give to the city of Toronto, for example. There may be enough transit fund for us to put in the order to purchase the new subway cars from one of our subway lines. If we don't do that, those old subway cars are end of its lifespan. The provincial government's on side, the city is putting the money, their contribution, the federal contribution will unlock $1.6 billion so we can get the order in. The sooner we do that, the better.
Okay.
So I can't wait. Yeah, I can't wait for the budget to be announced.
Well, I was going to say, right there, you jumped ahead. That's the future transit fund, right? That we're going to get, who knows? They're announcing everything in the budget before the budget. So we'll definitely get it by budget day. And that's something you've done, the density changes that they're requiring for to be able to qualify for that. But the money they rolled out yesterday, the $1 billion for urgent infrastructure and the $5 billion for provinces and territories, that will flow to municipalities like yours if the provinces don't get on board with the conditions. What are the sorts of things that can be used for? Because that doesn't strike me as transit. Is that just water hookups and running roads and paving roads into areas that make it easier for builders to come in and put up houses at scale by sort of reducing the costs and freeing up your capacity? That's how that helps you. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, but there's something that's really important. It's called complete neighborhood, complete communities. You can't just build all these condos and all these high rises or townhouses, 6, 8 story without a community center. Like, imagine if you have 10,000 people living in an area with no community center, no place for the kids to play, no playground. My God, you can't do that. No libraries, nothing, and no childcare center. That's just asking for trouble. So if you're looking at a really good neighborhood in downtown Toronto, if you look at the St. Lawrence neighborhood, it has a park, a community center, a school, a library. It's comprehensive, so people are happy there. You can't just build housing without those social infrastructure. And the question is, other than the hard infrastructure, who is going to pay for the social infrastructure? And like childcare center costs plenty too, right? That might be from another budget, but all of it connecting together means that kids wouldn't have to be bused across town. There's actual place for kids to play. There's green space. All of that needs to be factored in. And of course, local municipalities only get 9 cents per dollar of all the taxes that are given. Taylor Swift is coming to Toronto. We're not going to get any of the economic benefits. We'll just have to pay the police a bit more money because so many people are coming into town. So, so we're looking really ultimately not just the infrastructure funds, because that's limited, but a kind of revenue that could, as more and more people move into big cities, that a revenue that could grow the economy. And that's really ultimately what we're looking for.
Right. I take your point on the social infrastructure. It's not just a place to live, it's the place to have a life. And that's what it allows you to do. Olivia Chow, Mayor of Toronto, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.